show up shortly, won't you? Hey, well, welcome back, ladies. Thank you so much, Sharon and Sarah. And who was on last week?
Margaret.
Margaret, that's right. Covering for us in the Nourish group. Well, how was Thanksgiving?
Fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone survived.
Everybody survived. Yeah.
Yep. Oh. Well, I have to say this was one of the first years that I didn't do anything for Thanksgiving. It's not that we celebrate Thanksgiving here, but usually we do something like on the Sunday. And I admit there was something on that friends were doing on Sunday, and I simply stayed in bed. I decided I was done. I wasn't going anywhere. And it was like, this is a perfect way to spend my day. I just need to rest. I'm so overwhelmed right now. It's like, we got Christmas parties coming up. There's so much going on. I was like, just take the day, don't push yourself a little bit more. Enough is enough. Yeah. So today's topic, abundance and enough, which I think is just so perfect for ditch the diet and face the feelings leading into this season when there will be an abundance of food on the table. And there will be a whole lot of feelings probably either coming up or being pushed down.
For sure. And it's not just at home, it's when it's at work, it's, in the stores you go into, it's everywhere. So, it's not just at home.
Yeah. So how's that for you, Sarah? I know you've just had a fabulous Thanksgiving.
I did. Yeah, I spent a beautiful 5 days with my son and daughter-in-law. Got some sun and just, ate some good food and relaxed and enjoyed ourselves. And it was great. It was a really sort of gentle lead into what December will bring, which I'm also looking forward to. But yeah, it's a whole other breed once you get to this time of year.
Yeah. And how about you, Sharon? Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hey guys, sorry that I'm late. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Kimmy and I made dinner for my family. And then we drove it to my sister's house about an hour from here and had dinner and then came home and went to bed.
Nice. No drama this year?
Hey.
Nope. None.
Perfect.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah. No, and I know for me, Thanksgiving's always pretty positive, and Christmas I always feel a little nostalgic. One being so far overseas, but the fact that most of my life, we've always been overseas. Like, with my parents when I was growing up, we were always overseas, Then when we moved back to New Zealand, but we're in New Zealand and my grandparents are in England. So it was always this thing of, Christmas is
boy, and I thought my family was spread out.
Yeah. So Christmas for me is always kind of like that happy, sad of, I can't have everybody I want in the room, I can have these ones, or I can have those ones, or I can have the other ones, but the getting it all together, that just doesn't happen for me. And I know even for New Year's is quite bittersweet because my grandmother died on New Year's Eve.
Aww.
And so there's always that, just that little feeling of, yes, wow, this is wonderful. And there's always that moment of, yeah, but grandma died today. And I'm sure that for so many people, there's that bittersweetness of, I'm present and I'm celebrating now, but you know, what am I grieving, or who's not at the table? And so, you know, when we're talking about ditch the diet and face the feelings, it's not about ignoring all of that.
Yeah.
You know, it is celebrating this moment and now and who's at the table, but it might also be, you know, taking a moment to acknowledge who's not at the table.
I think
Yeah.
it'd be difficult to avoid that, wouldn't it? Because in situations where you know, you gather as a family, you're always going to consider who isn't there.
Yeah.
So you know, for my family, we never get together as a family, you know, around the table during the year. So at Christmas time, it's the only time of the year that we all actually come together and you know, spend time as a family and just reconnect. So by that token, you obviously remember who isn't there. So yeah.
And how is it for you, Sammy?
What, Christmas?
Yeah, is that good?
It is good. You know, I mean, it's very commercialized, and there's tends to be a lot of stress attached, which, you know, I've learned to completely detract myself from. But it's really, we're quite a chilled out family. So what it means to us is just being together on that day. And, you know, being thankful for what we've got and who we've got, you know, gathered around the table. We don't really subscribe to all the panic shopping and overeating, chocolate everything. We used to, but we don't tend to anymore. I think we've all grown up a bit.
Okay, so just a quick hello to Susan and to Clara that are watching with us right now. And hello back to you both. Yeah, so what about you, Sarah? What's it like for you?
So my Christmas has changed a little bit in recent years since my son found his love of his life. So my family has actually expanded, and it's really a beautiful day. I mean, I think the gifts are meaningful and, you know, just really well thought out, but not overly extravagant. The most important thing to us is sharing a really delicious meal. And then beyond that, it's just competitive games. We all love games. Just like get us around the table and go like for hours.
Well,
and
I'm sitting here
Mate.
going, there's a new Monopoly, which is Game of Thrones, but is my 5-year-old too young for this?
I'm going to guess she might be.
She's going to be too young for Game of Thrones till she's 30.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's like the epitome of coming together to celebrate is just really that bonding time of the easy conversation that sort of fills in the gaps between the games. And I absolutely love it. It's my favorite. That's the abundance part for me, is just that abundance of time together and, you know, laughter and a little, you know, we're all competitive and, but not in a bad way. It's not in a hurtful way at all. It's just a super coming together, but everybody wants to win. So it keeps it fun.
Yeah. And how rare is it that people get together without having to worry about, oh, I've got to go at 4 because, or I've got to go, you know, I've got this on tomorrow. I think everyone sort of comes together at Christmas and switches all that off, which I think is really lovely.
Yeah.
I wish we could keep it switched off.
Yeah.
I do too.
No, we have to jump back in there, don't we? And deal with January. But I was looking at all the different synonyms for abundance earlier. And I think they're absolutely fabulous. Let me just read out a couple. Opulence, plenitude,
Yes.
copiousness,
Ooh.
ampleness,
Oh,
Sounds
plethora,
fussy.
bounty, myriad, prosperity and riches, which I love that word plethora. Don't get to use it often enough, do we really?
no. Yeah, so we
I
play
know
a
for
plethora
me,
of games.
yeah, plethora of games, absolutely. One of the things that came up for me last week because I was on training was the question of, what do I want to do for Christmas this year that's actually special for me and Little Miss Five, because she's finally starting to understand things more, and I don't want it to just be about the toys. So while we actually, did a letter to Santa, which I thought was really cool because she tried to write it herself. She insisted I write on another piece of paper and then she'd copy the letters, which I thought was quite, a lot of effort on her part because she's still just learning to write the letters, but it's all good. But it was really about what spirit of Christmas do I want to create in my home? And it was very much a conscious decision of, this year, I'm going to let her say how we decorate the Christmas tree, even if in my OCD mind, it makes absolutely no sense and it's out of balance and the colors are all, no, I'm just going to, it's about the spirit of Christmas. And the spirit of Christmas is not about having all the colors balanced in the right place and, no. Okay, just forget about, is there a gaping hole halfway down the tree? Is she happy with how the tree's decorated? And also the whole thing of, my favorite memories of Christmas were not Christmas Day. It was all the things we did with Mom leading up to Christmas. It was the baking, the gingerbread men. It was the making, the homemade decorations for the house and for the tree. And while maybe she's still too young to really get into that, is she really? What does abundance mean if it doesn't mean that?
Yeah, and she's at the perfect age for you to start creating new traditions that'll just grow over the years. So it's like you're just at this beautiful time with her.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. And so it was a real awakening of, how do I want Christmas to feel in my house?
Well, for kids, it's an abundance of excitement, isn't it? I mean, God,
she's been asking me about Christmas for 2 months now, ever since in September, the damn stores started putting Christmas decorations on all the shelves. All I hear about is when's Christmas,
But, I mean, when all of us here can remember back to when we were 5 years old and excited about Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if that was, what happens to us now as grown-ups? I mean, it kind of doesn't, but just listening to you talk about Miss Five, I just start, and it's that feeling. And I think, certainly for kids, we should create an abundance of it because kids are growing up so fast these days. I have never had kids, but, with the onset of electronic equipment and, the way schools are now, and, they grow up so fast. And I think that, that kind of kids' excitement about Christmas is absolutely electric, and I'm envious of it. Sometimes when I see a kid jumping up and down and I saw Santa, it's crazy exciting. It's lovely. It really is. I think it should be in every house.
I really can't wait to to like experience that with my own child, because I did not have that experience with Christmas. My experience with Christmas was deeply, deeply religious, almost to the point of abuse.
Uh-huh.
And like we had to read half the New Testament and sing happy birthday to Jesus, and couldn't open presents till certain things had been done. So my association with Christmas is actually quite dark and not nearly as positive as other people. And one of my favorite things about my sister is the way that my nephew Henry, that I love and adore, she has Henry like actively involved with Santa Claus from like the beginning of December, and has this adorable young man convinced that she texts him, like texts Santa Claus when he comes out. And it just, my nephew's joy surrounding the holiday is like palpable, but I don't have that experience. So I even just watching the way you describe it, Sammy, I could see the joy, and I can't wait to see that.
There's still memories going now while you're talking.
Yeah.
I wish I had that. Like, I'm very fortunate in that I grew up around like my entire family, both sets of grandparents, parents, everyone except for my aunt and uncle, who were international missionaries, were in my hometown. So I celebrated every holiday with them. They came to every event. I was really spoiled that way. And I didn't understand until I joined the military that was unusual for you to get all of your family that close. And now I live right next to my parents. I live right next to my sister. My brother is a professor in Los Angeles. But to me, there's a lot of family associated with Christmas, but just the religious portion of it is really hard for me to stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony Lee was just saying that.
Was
What did
she?
I do? Oh, they're okay. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. I thought I closed the whole thing. Tony Lee was saying that her son Bodie has been fundraising for their local food bank, and he had a goal of $1,000, and he's already surpassed it. So
Bodie.
Bodie,
Great
that
job,
is
Bodie.
Awesome.
just amazing. Yeah.
Isn't it great?
Isn't that what Christmas is all about? It's not, it's not just about the abundance of toys and the abundance of food. It's about the abundance of giving, and I know, at least in the church that I'm with, we've got something organized for girls from a home which is basically an orphanage. Some of them may have family, but they don't have family that consistently show up in their lives. And so we were talking about what we're doing for their Christmas party, because every year we make sure that they have a Christmas party. And, what would they like to do? And last year we did a party for them. This year they're a little bit older, and they've got one or two new kids that came down, that are 6 or 7. But the main group of them now is 11 to 13. And it was like, it's not the same to do a party for 9 to 12-year-olds as it is to do 11 to 13-year-olds, And so this year the decision was, well, instead of doing a party at the church, let's take them to the movies and watch a Christmas movie.
Nice.
And then we'll bring them back to the church afterwards for presents. But, that the main outing is actually, movies, pizza, that sort of thing. And then, Christmas presents at the end. But that it's something that we know they're going to enjoy, and, everybody at church is asked to foster one of those kids, in the sense of you're responsible for making sure they get a new set of Christmas clothes, they get a gift or a toy that's age appropriate, and something personal from you, so that it's, and we generally try to make sure that we got the same kid that we got last year.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Last month or earlier in November, there was a little thing going around on Facebook about the reverse Advent calendar that had a basket, And so I actually printed that out and attached it on the front of a basket. And I've just been, putting food in there or something in there every day that, closer to Christmas, I'll go and donate, because, personally, I have so much and I have so much to give. And I really do want to share that with people. And, just with the hope that even just one small thing is going to just make somebody feel important in the world, feel valued. To me, that's just part of what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really wanted us to focus on this evening was that whole thing of, you've got a plethora of food on the table, possibly. And,
Possibly.
we've been saying ditch the diet,
Yeah.
but also face the feelings. And one of those feelings is that full feeling of enough, that feeling of being full. Now, I look back on Christmas dinners or Christmas lunches and think, when did I ever stop at enough? When did I not let myself be led by abundance? And what is my hang up? If I know we're going to be eating these damn cold turkey sandwiches for the next 2 damn weeks, why do I insist today on eating too much?
Because we feel entitled.
Yeah. You definitely feel like you should. But I have to say, with the change in beliefs about myself and my relationship with food, I tend to put what's on my plate. I put far less on my plate now. And I still enjoy it just as much because you're sitting with your family and you're wearing a stupid hat and, you're telling terrible jokes out of crackers, and there's a tradition around our table that the guys, my brother and my dad, have the turkey legs, these great big massive limbs.
Yeah.
And, that's been the case for donkey's years. But I'm actually having a vegetarian option this year because I quit meat. So everyone in my family kind of did a double take. What? And so yeah, that's
so are you doing the roast cabbage? Are you doing the roast watermelon? What are you trying?
Well, actually, I think we're eating out this year for the first time ever. Because everyone had taken a turn cooking, so this year we thought we'd try eating out, less to clean up.
Oh,
right?
Lovely. Yeah, less cleanup work. Yeah, absolutely.
And less of a chance that I'm gonna get seconds or thirds or pass out in the chair.
That reminds me of A Christmas Story, one of my all-time favorite Christmas comedies. I love that movie. They end up in a Chinese restaurant on Christmas. Wait, was it Christmas, guys, or was it Thanksgiving?
Christmas.
It was Christmas. Okay.
Christmas, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, one of the beautiful things I discovered in the supermarket was that they sell just turkey breast, not the whole turkey.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just like, oh my God, of course. What do I need to buy a turkey for?
Yeah.
Because dark meat rules. That's why.
Well, there's that. But let's be realistic. When I'm making sandwiches the next day, I want the white meat.
If it's been cooked right, you do. If it's been overcooked, you definitely don't. That makes one of the worst sandwiches on earth. Dried turkey.
Oh, gosh, yes. Okay, but I inject it with wine. Let's be real.
Oh, fancy dancy lady.
You mean after it's cooked and when it's on your bread?
No.
Yeah, just so you know,
Got
you
visions of
drinking
her just
wine.
pouring wine over the.
That doesn't count, Beth. You can't take a drink of wine and take a bite of turkey and say you've infused your turkey.
Valiant effort.
no, no. No, I learned many years ago that the more you inject that turkey the 24 hours beforehand, the better it gets, in
Okay.
terms of, not having that cardboard dry turkey meat.
Can I tell you guys a story? This is really funny. So not this year, but last year, Kim prepares all the stuff. And then my part of it is when she goes to bed, I get up and I mind the turkey. So she didn't tell me that she had put the turkey in upside down so that the breast would stay moist. And I'm not paying attention because all I really do is eat. So, I'm basting it and I'm basting it and basting it. And then probably around 4 o'clock in the morning, this gigantic hole opens up in the top of the turkey. And I'm freaking out because all I'm thinking now is my dad's going to kill me because my dad loves to eat. So I go in and I tell this woman that I love and adore, who says she loves and adores me, and she says nothing to me about how she put the turkey in upside down. She was like, "Oh, that's bad. That's bad." So she let me think for 4 hours that I had completely destroyed the turkey, and then she got up and she's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding," and she turns it over. So now it's one of our holiday jokes. Did you break the turkey?
I love it. That's great. Oh man.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you break the turkey? Oh man. But yeah, I mean, one of the difficulties, on Christmas Day and the days leading up to it, anytime you've got a party, is not overfilling the plate. Realizing, I mean, we all know there's enough to eat. There's enough on, I don't have to eat this all today because tomorrow I'm not going to get some more. Generally speaking, what we don't eat today, we're going to end up eating tomorrow. And, if it was in my house, you'd be having them for the next damn week,
I don't know. For me, it feels like a sense of entitlement, Beth. It's not, I feel driven to do it. It's culturally, I'm supposed to do it, is the feeling. And as we're talking, I'm having this real aha. I eat a lot and I eat really fast. So I just shovel food into my face until I can't. That's how I go when I'm not, my food addiction is in full bloom,
Right.
And I'm just beginning to realize how much of my childhood was so time oriented that's how I learned it, was the time crunch. Eat, go, and
oh, I totally relate to that. I sit there and look at how I ate for years, and it was definitely, I got 15 minutes to put this away, otherwise they're going to take the plate away.
Yeah.
Wow. So
With
did
my
you just
dad,
eat a
it
lot
would
and
be
fast?
gone.
Yeah, a lot and fast, but with no connection to how full am I, because obviously when you're eating that fast, now, I mean, that wasn't true at home for me, but that was true at boarding school. So you spend eight months. Yeah, I would spend 8 months out of the year at boarding school and 3 months of the year at home. Which one do you go with? You go with the boarding school rules.
My mom with my dad, when they first got married, she liked to eat things separately. So their first meal together, she makes dinner and she puts the first thing on the plate and starts eating it and goes back and all the food is gone because my dad has just mowed right through it. So for us kids, you had to get in there and eat or you weren't my dad would eat everything. I mean, it's that
I do have that feeling with my dad. If you took too long eating dessert, he'd steal it off your plate. So, you would hurry up to eat it because, and not only that, you wouldn't leave any for later because you come back later and it's gone. There is none. So I'm going to eat it now, even if I'm already full.
So by contrast, when I was growing up, Christmas Eve was always our really fancy meal. And my parents were very strict about table manners. And so we had to hold our utensils properly and cut and then place the knife down, switch the fork, take the bite. I mean, just by virtue of having to go through all of the steps, it slowed down the entire eating process. And we didn't overeat at those meals because, for one thing,
Yeah.
it took so damn long. We were just all ready to get up and leave the table by the time we were done cutting, and you couldn't pre-cut everything. You had to actually like go through each bite step by step.
Well, actually, that's a good way to pace yourself. If you were
Yeah.
trying to cut down on your way of eating, adopting those kind of rules actually would be quite useful to give your gut time to send a message to your head, hey, I'm full, stop now.
Yeah. So
It's like when food is involved, it becomes this ritual that we do around food that, either there's enough or there's not enough, or it's good, it tastes good enough or it doesn't taste good enough, or it's made right or it's not made right. Regardless of those circumstances, it's like this. And I understand some of it's evolutionary and the desire to feed and to continue on the life of the organism. But at least here in the United States, it's beyond that. There's this food is like, they encourage food to be a drug here in the United States. They encourage that to be your go-to avoidance technique. And like, I'm sitting here consciously thinking about it and really just having a series of ahas about the culture in which I live and the way that they advertise food to us.
yeah, and we praise and reward gluttony, like if you can eat a 5-pound hamburger in under an hour, you get your picture on the wall in a t-shirt. Well, that seems so worth it.
Yeah, why would I do this? Yeah.
Who suffers for that? Oh, right, I do,
Yeah.
because I'm eating a 5-pound hamburger.
Well, that's like the 41 or the 47 hot pepper contest. Why would you do that to yourself?
Why would you do that to your poor bum? Why would you do that to your bum? Seriously, guys, that's not going to be fun on the other end of that.
You'd literally be in tatters after that, wouldn't you? Really?
Be crapping fire.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Have an abundance of fire.
Yes.
Come on now, stay on
Difference
topic.
between enough and abundance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just going back to what Beth was talking about and Sarah. I mean, we can have a great feast laid out, an abundance of food, but we can also think about what other things we have in abundance. I mean, it's possibly. I mean, we don't celebrate it, but it's possibly similar to Thanksgiving. You've got all your family around you, or you've done something charitable,
but
you've
it's
done
a moment for creating new traditions if we wanted to, and I think that's the beauty of, if we're mindful and conscious and intentional about Christmas, we can make it something else if we wanted to.
Absolutely.
Especially with the winter solstice as the background to all of this. There's a reason why Christian holidays ended up coinciding with pagan holidays, and that's because the energies associated. Yes, that's because the energies of the stars over those periods of time. Hi, Tony Lee. I know you love hearing about this. The energy of the stars drastically affects human beings on Earth during solstices and equinoxes. It's a powerful period of time. This is the death part of the cycle, the winter solstice, the dying of everything and giving way to the spring equinox. It's in the energy behind what goes on in December it's palpable. It's new life. It's rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
Christmas
if we could
would
just
actually
stand
come
in that, I
from.
mean, like, even if we want to take Christmas, but Christmas is not about the presents. Christmas is not about the abundant feast on the table. Um, it's something else entirely, and we've got so lost in this commercialism that we think that's abundance now. And even with the food, it's how many packets of nuts do I need on the table, really? um or or how many gingerbread cookies do I need to make?
Lots.
But if you have an abundance of gifts that you're giving while simultaneously creating an abundance of debt, how is
Yes.
that a good thing in your life?
That was going to be my next point. And I mean, I see so much of, oh, I've got to buy a gift for my brothers, sisters, aunties, budgies, babysitters, sister-in-law. They're like, what? You haven't spoken to her for 6 years and you're panicking about buying her a gift? I mean,
Yeah.
luckily we kind of, we don't do that. Last year we didn't do gifts at all. Because, we just don't buy into all the panic and stress and buying meaningless gifts for people that, you don't really communicate with. It's all the thoughtlessness that's gone out of it.
Mm.
I love-
Well, I mean, I know, for example, I've got coming up on the 14th, a party with friends who've been friends for 15, 20 years. And we've all got kids now that are more or less the same ages. And, so we're doing, as we've done every year for the last 12 years, 13 years, a Christmas party together. And now, of course, it includes the kids. And we agreed very early on that, there's a price limit on the gifts for kids. And it's one gift per kid sort of thing. And, this is about the party and the time together and the playing. This is not about the presents under the tree. Because when we had Christmas parties together, when we were all single and, working and everything, we didn't buy each other presents at all. It was about showing up and having the time together.
Yeah.
It wasn't about what were we getting each other, and it was like, so let's make sure that for our kids, that's what we're creating. That very same importance of this is about the time we spend together.
Yeah, one of my favorite things we did with our kids when we were raising them is to write promises and put them in envelopes and put the envelopes in the tree. And then, you just sort of get to collect and maybe it's just a promise to go outside and play jump rope, or it's a promise to go to the movies, or it's a promise to just sit quietly and spend time together or read a story or whatever it is. But those things that don't necessarily cost any money, but it's really just the promise of sharing time together. And I think those were some of the most meaningful things that we ever gave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what does Cain say? We're a species that needs to connect and communicate.
Yeah.
So when you go back to those basics, you kind of go, wow, that is actually what it's about.
Yeah.
Whether you see it as a religious holiday or not.
You can literally see that in action, that the connection of the Christmas holiday creates all this magic. And then because of all the advertising and all of the commercialism, we miss that you could stay connected year round.
Yeah.
You could do this all year. It's possible. And we wander into New Year's, and as we breach the new year, that little lesson is just gone every year.
Well, yeah. And now that you say that, Sharon, one of the big things that really came up for me last week when I used, Christmas as one of my issues that I wanted to resolve while I was doing the coaching course. And the biggest thing that came up was that I wanted the December to be the start of a new relationship with my daughter that wasn't going to finish at Christmas.
Beautiful.
That it was going to be a new way of interacting together where leading up to Christmas, we're doing things together for Christmas. But that after Christmas, I've learned a new way of interacting with her that carries on into other things, that carries on into other holidays, but that is something that I'm doing now with her daily of this has become the new way we relate to each other. And so, I mean, you guys have seen on Facebook, I posted about, she's learned to cook French toast. Well, according to her, she has, but
OCD.
But it's a wonderful thing that I'm getting told at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm hungry and we're going to make my favorite English breakfast. And I'm like, your favorite English breakfast, French toast. Okay. Yeah, she I don't know where she got in her mind that was an English breakfast.
God bless children.
but I failed to correct it. And since the French toast, I don't add any sugar to the mix when I'm making the batter. It's like, I was like, well, this is basically a piece of toast and scrambled eggs. Okay, we're good.
We call that eggy bread over here.
Okay, well, anyway.
Samantha, can I ask you a quick question that I've always wanted to ask an English person and have never remembered? I have to know what spotted dick is. Those cans. Have you ever heard? I have to know. What is that?
Well, I'm not sure this is safe for broadcast. No, it's just cake with sultanas in it. That's all it is. Oh my
goodness. You have no idea where my American mind went with that.
Oh, I can imagine, Sharon.
I sincerely apologize for interrupting this broadcast with that question, but it was a burning question that I had to ask.
Yeah,
well, there you are.
Raisins. Yeah.
You've always wanted to know.
Yes, I feel better now. Because I was seriously concerned about your culture.
No, we don't. I was going to say erect. We don't put up straw men and set fire to them and none of that.
Oh, I needed
breathe,
that laugh.
Sharon, breathe.
I needed that laugh, guys. You just have no idea.
Oh, I'm glad we gave it to you. I'm so glad we gave it to you. Yeah. All right. Well, wrapping up, ladies, because I know we've gone over time as we always do. But it's been fabulous talking to you guys about, coming into the Christmas season and just, facing the feelings, whatever those are, and making the Christmas season intentionally abundant and intentionally enough, but in a great way.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be about the food.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be about the food or the presents. It's, it really is, as Sharon said, it's about the connection. And if only we would learn to do that all year round. If we could just be this gracious and this giving all year.
Yes.
Well, we can. It's just a choice.
We'll get there.
We're getting there.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, those of you that have been watching us, Carlos and Suzanne and Tony Lee. Thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful to have you with us tonight. And we will catch you all next week.